Welcome to a Matter of Mindset podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Carpe Diem. Come on. It's been a while since I've been here, but we're back now, obviously. Got a special guest with me, my good friend Izu.
Yes. What's good?
I'm good, man. Blessed and highly favoured. You know how it goes.
Glad to hear it.
Go ask you a few questions, then we're going to get into the topic. Is that cool with you, yeah?
Yeah, man, hit me.
Calm. Do you mind sharing your goals? Do you have any... Do you share your goals or do you keep them to yourself?
No, I share my goals. What time frame?
No. What are your 3 biggest life goals right now?
Ooh, I really want to dedicate myself to exploring my creative pursuits. So, like, when I was a kid, right, I had 3 things I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be a footballer, I wanted to be a Jedi. I mean, I was a kid in it. And then I wanted to invent shit. But to me, inventing was more than just like building like machines and shit. It was just kind of manifesting, your ideas into reality. And that can be from like, that can be creative or it can be business or it can be whatever it is. And so like I really want to reorient my life into pursuing that more.
Oh.
So like I know it's not a specific answer, but that's definitely something that's very like top of my priority list right now.
Okay. No, it's good because like as human beings we're powerful in it and there's so many ways in which we can express ourselves. And I think the creative side is very important.
Yeah.
Because the creative self can manifest itself in so many ways in it.
I think it's important to help for a healthy life as well.
Yeah.
Because like I've got this thing about these 4 pillars that, for me anyway, that I always look back to whenever I feel like my life's out of whack, and being creative is definitely one of them because it helps you like explore the world around you.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense of the shit that you're in because I can't lie to you, shit gets complicated and confusing sometimes.
Yeah, for real. And you know what? Life is about creating in it. Like
it's just problem solving. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just one problem, you create a solution, and you move on to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question I got for you is what is your most valuable skill?
Damn. I don't know,
You can throw them back to me, by the way, if you want,
I thought that's a cop out. I want to answer, innit?
No, you can answer. It's calm.
I like to say like my power of reasoning. Like I get criticized for this a lot, but I'm a very logic orientated person. Like I like process. Like I have like not systems, but I have like methods that I refer to whenever I'm dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
And I like to have those systems for like pretty much everything I do. So I feel like that's a core strength of mine that like I've got that kind of backbone or framework to refer to. And so like it really helps me whenever I'm trying to make decisions or shit like that because it can really come real quick. And whereas I feel like a lot of people around me tend to struggle with that. So I say that's what like I would say separates me. It's just my ability to reason and figure shit out.
Yeah. No, that's a good skill to have because obviously if you respond emotionally to things a lot of times,
yeah,
you may not have the perspective that's required to actually get yourself out of problems. Because in life, as you said before, life is about problem solving. We're going to go through problems.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, is it a logical mind that I need or an emotional mind that I need? And more often than not, it's a logical mind that you need. So that's definitely a good skill to have.
I think especially when there's a problem, because I think there's nothing worse than you making like permanent decisions based on temporary emotions.
Yeah.
Because then like the ramifications, and specifically for me, like when I was young, the consequences, you don't really think that far ahead. And then when shit hits the wall and you're just blaming the world and that, and you realize that, right, like you're the one who got yourself in a situation. And so really and truly, you have the power to get yourself out.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, logical minds definitely promote accountability, which is very important.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's obviously room for both, and I think definitely for me, like there's been an element of overcorrection, but I would 100% agree with that.
This is the last one. I think you'll like this question, yeah.
Go on.
What is the single biggest realization you ever had?
I can't lie, I had this conversation with my girl the other day and she hates my answers to this, but the fact that we're all gonna die. Like, at some point, everything you've ever touched, ever seen, everyone you've ever met, everything you ever known is gonna be gone. Like, dead. Deceased. No longer existent. And for me, like, to her, it was bare deep and sad. Like, oh, you can't be saying that. I'm like, but it's the truth, isn't it?
That's motivation, though, man.
Yeah, I find it liberating. It's one of them ones where, like, okay, so that means, like, I've got a limited set of, like, there is a specific period of time that I have. I'm not going to now waste it doing dumb shit I don't want to be doing, that I don't like, that makes me unhappy. be around people that, you know, make me miserable or doing shit that I don't really care about. Like, but I'm gonna die one day, innit?
Yeah. Who says that? It's Gary V, innit?
Is that what he said? I can't lie, I watched Gary Vee for years, man.
Yeah, he says that he's like, you're gonna die. Like that's the motivation that I need to go be on 100 all the time.
Yeah, and like, bruv, life is short.
Yeah, life is short for real, for real, for real.
Bruv, I'm only for what, 5 years now, or something like that.
Yeah, it's been like.
Bruv, it feels like I've only known you for like a couple.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, time does fly for real, but time does fly for real, and you definitely have to be productive because life is short, bruv.
Yeah, man.
But we're gonna get into this topic. The topic we have today is the battle of the ego. The reason why I brought Izu onto this for this topic is because we done a podcast before about this, and my perspective that I have now was different, and I
can't lie, we had a good back and forth on this.
I was being wrong and strong. I was like, nah, the ego isn't always bad. It isn't always bad. And sometimes it's not, but the way in which it's used commonly is normally to people's destruction, innit? And Izzy was trying to make the point that, nah, the ego's bad. And after this, I think about it, and I've done some reading, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Because even when we make decisions, more often than not, they're ego-based. If we do stuff for the ego always wants validation. So when we do stuff for validation, it's ego-based, and there's never a sincerity with actions that are ego-based.
But my criticism was of the book specifically, because I was saying that this book painted ego as like the ultimate evil, and like I didn't think that's the case. I was thinking that there's elements that, I mean, like this is where we kind of like we had a back and forth, was the fact that like I was basically saying that, you know, at the end of the day, like a lot of, when you take things to an extreme, shit goes bad no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Like if you drink too much water, you can still die from it. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's one of them ones where everything in moderation has its place. And so what I was like, the point I was trying to make was that like ego in its purest, simplest distilled form, by in and of itself, yeah, it will ruin you. But you need it in order for you to be able to accomplish things that most people haven't. And so like, that's why I was like, saying that ego is the enemy to someone, if you just picked up the book and you read it, right, you're gonna say, all right, I'm gonna eliminate ego from your life, point blank, period. And my point was that if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna miss out on, or you're gonna be losing, like I would say, like an important ingredient that like sets certain people apart from others. But like you said, the like ego-based decisions is probably the wrong one to make.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what I do get 100% where you're coming from, but I think the point that Ryan Holiday was trying to make is that how most people can't manage their ego. Do you get what I'm saying? And I hear him on that. And the example he uses is like when we're aspiring to achieve something, when we achieve it, and failure.
Yeah.
So if we're going through like a rough period, our ego will exaggerate the extent of the failure and will make ourselves feel like victims.
Yeah. It does like warp and twist your perception of reality to fit whatever bias you have. And so yeah, I'd agree with that. Like I get that point, I do. But again, like I was saying, that the book only uses the most extreme version of reality. Like I would also argue that a lot of the examples he uses like were people that were displaying like severe narcissism or like a bunch of other like mental conditions that coexisted alongside the ego that all like simultaneously converge into forming, you know, the shitstorms that happen.
Yeah. Speaking of narcissism, what are your views on narcissism? I want to ask you, because
I'm not gonna lie, man. I think that's the word that girls are throwing around just to throw shade.
I hear that still. But you know what I was thinking? Yeah. I'm like, everyone throws around, my ex was a narcissist, and I'm thinking, what is actually a narcissist? And I'm thought, it's actually someone who's self-absorbed.
Yeah.
Like they can't even comprehend. They can't even comprehend that there's a reality that exists outside of themselves.
Yeah.
So all the decisions that they make are centered around them.
Yeah.
And that mentality damages relationships.
Yeah, of course.
I've seen it happen so many times. Like, okay, cool. As much as you're your own person, you have other people to consider. Do you get what I'm saying? Because life is not all about you.
No, yeah.
Because you have to coexist with people. You're probably going to enter a relationship. You're probably going to start a family.
Mm.
So you're gonna have to sacrifice the need for everything to be about you if you want these relationships to flourish.
Especially when it comes to like interpersonal relationships. Like compromise and sacrifice goes a long way.
Yeah, facts, completely. Yeah, man. Yeah.
But boy, that's been a lesson that I've learned because a lot, like, and I had to re-examine that a lot recently, especially because I got into a relationship not long ago in it, and so like being like forced with or confronted with these situations where a lot of the time, like I am and always have been someone who's very much a person of my own free will.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to make decisions how I see them best. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then now that I'm in, now that I'm in this, it's like, all right, now I really have to comprehend or really consider people's like perspectives. Because even up till now, I'm not gonna lie, parents, family, a lot of time friends, I've walked away from situations just because they've either disagreed or they've tried to fight me on the thing that I firmly believed in, and I'm not someone who really makes decisions like lightly, and so that's why like for me like whenever it comes to like simple things like apologizing, I used to find difficult because I never made a decision. Like whenever I made a decision, I was fully aware of the consequences that this is very likely gonna go wrong. But I've accepted that outcome already before I made the decision. So that for me to go back and say I'm sorry, I'm not really though, am I? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that swings us back to the ego thing because now it's like, oh, I'm too self-absorbed in my own way of doing things. I'm not really considering anyone else.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And so like, I'm not gonna lie to you. This isn't. I don't think like just this one conversation is really enough to like take away or really examine a lot of the lessons that we can, take away from what the ego can and can't do.
Yeah.
But it's just a constant state of like reassessment.
Yeah. And to be fair to the ego does get a bad rap in the book, but the ego can propel you to do great things because when you're doing like obviously you play football,
Yeah,
we all played sports once upon a time. Sometimes we need that exaggerated perception of ourselves to perform at high levels.
yeah. Because I think like ego, like at its core, ego is just the belief in is a self belief in something that you don't really have like justification for.
Yeah.
Like it's to say that oh, like like I can be the best at X or I can do Y, and you've never done it before. You've just decided that I can do it. For me, that is an example of your ego because you're basically saying that I have the capacity, despite any evidence to back it up, that I can do something.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Do you get what I'm saying? And from that seed, great things can happen. But it's one of them ones where like, I mean, we can talk about Kanye West or whoever you want for whatever name you want out there.
We can talk about we'll talk about Kanye after, but we'll talk about CR7 because have you seen that interview that he has with Rio Ferdinand and Anderson, and they ask, "Oh, who's the best player?"
He says me.
Like someone will argue that Ronaldo is an egomaniac or something, but he needs that self belief in himself to push him to work hard. It's like, okay, cool. If I'm saying I'm the best of all time, I have to work and act like I'm the best of all time.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, I don't think his ego is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But someone else could look at that with a bit more criticism. So it literally does depend on your perspective.
I think, yeah, but it also depends a lot on who, like you said, no, in fact, you're entirely right. It depends entirely on your perspective. And from the perspective of Ronaldo, like, that is a fundamental, like, component of his character. Like, I mean, I've never met the guy in it. But from what, the, various conversations that I've heard or watched other people have about him and the interactions he's had with people, I mean, I think it's safe to say that there is a great amount of ego there.
Yeah.
But at this point, especially at this point in his career, it's a thing of you can't really say that it's without justification. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nice.
He has a right to say that I'm one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
It's one of them as when you go back to 17 years old and he's just stepped into Manchester United's training ground. And at that point he's saying to himself, I can be the best in the world. That's where you say, okay, that's just ego. He's just an arrogant little skinny little prick. I'm gonna snap him in half. But he works on himself day after day, year after year, and next thing you know, he ends up achieving what he does. And so it's a thing of without that little seed in the beginning, I would always argue that you don't get the tree at the end.
Yeah.
But we don't have to compare ourselves to Ronaldo. It can be little things and how we treat each other. Like, if you've got kids, how do you raise your kids? Because I would also argue that that's an ego-based decision deciding to have kids, because assuming that they're planned.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But to say that you've never had like a full-time kid to look after, and to say that I have the capacity to do that and to raise this kid to be of value to the world, I would say there's an element of ego in that too.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And so like it can play out in little things.
Yeah, it really can still. But that's the thing. Yeah, I agree. You know what? The ego is not inherently bad, but you just have to know when you're making an ego-based decision and how to manage it.
Yeah.
Because the ego doesn't always manifest itself negatively.
No.
But that's when you're in it. That's if you're in control of it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then it's a tricky situation to say how do you control the ego, because that in and of itself is an egocentric statement, because it's like, oh, how do you really control something you don't really have, like, you don't fully understand. Do you get where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
it's a paradox. It just takes us off in a circle, dog chasing its tail.
So you don't think there's any way to?
No, because think about it, like, we're gonna end up going in a circle here, but bear with me. So if you say, for example, okay, ego is not good, it's not bad, it's just a tool, right? You need to control it for it to be good, right? So then you say, all right, I can do that, but you've never done it before. That's an ego circle. You're basically saying I can control the ego without ever having done it before. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so obviously it only comes with practice and shit. But that's why, like, for example, Sikhism is a religion based in the Punjab region in India, and their whole thesis is about like eliminating the ego. So you do have people that swing entirely the other way. You're like, okay, the way to control the ego is to be entirely without it. But to me, that's also an egocentric statement. That's an egocentric thesis. How do you go without something without ever having been without it before?
It's deep still. It's deep. But you know what? I think it's something to think about, because I've been in situations recently where I thought, you know what? If I was just to go solely off ego, I'll just do something mad. so let me just chill and just use a logical mind. So do you think the ego can be logical as well?
I think it's very difficult to separate the ego from like a lot of the other negative associations we have with it. It's because like, short answer is no. I don't think so. I think that the ego is an emotional response primarily.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's it's like pride. It's when you're confronted with a situation and you act on emotion. More time, it's the ego. It's pride. It's envy, jealousy, anger. It's from that place, from your mind or your brain, whatever function, the amygdala, wherever the fuck it's called, whatever region of the brain that function emanates from. But yeah, I think that you can not necessarily control it, but you can definitely learn to harness it.
No, that's important, because I thought this would be a good topic, because I've seen certain people, not even certain people, but I've just seen people around them use their ego as something very destructive. So I think what can be learned from this is, if we want to improve as people, we need to learn how to use and manage our ego so it actually serves us and the people around us, not to that is its benefit.
Yeah.
So I can look at certain situations that's happened, and I've been like, oh, the reason why this went wrong is because one party or all parties involved couldn't manage their ego.
Yeah.
If they knew how to manage their ego or put their ego to the side for the betterment of the relationship or whatever, things may have turned out better.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's something that people learn with time.
100%. And it's like a skill like anything else.
Yeah.
And I would always go back to the statement that it's neither good or bad. There's no intrinsic like value to it. It's just simply a product of a human response. And therefore it's subject to good things and to bad things. But it's the same way that, for example, we talk about jealousy as being, an inherently negative response, as if there is no elements of jealousy that can have any positive or redeeming values. But the second you get into a relationship, God forbid someone touches or try moves to your girl, and then you all of a sudden the most jealous person on the planet. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it just depends on context, situation, and whether you like. That's why like I go back to the whole process thing. Like, how can you remove yourself enough from the situation to be able to see it clearly? And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. Like, I make as much emotional decisions as anyone else, but I always try to say to like take a step back and just ask myself, is this decision right now the best one to make for tomorrow? And then go from there.
Yeah. No, it's good because a lot, yeah, as you said, when you make decisions emotionally, all you're thinking about is satisfying yourself right now.
Right then and there.
But you need to make decisions that have long-term benefits. Like,
Yeah.
if this decision doesn't benefit me in the long term, then why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Other than to satisfy the ego.
Exactly.
No, it's a good concept still. How has the ego affected you in terms of like setting goals?
I would say that I definitely became a victim of what the ego can do. Specifically during the period of like when I was reaching the end of my college years, because I did a third year because I failed my first year, and like in my head, when I was like, I moved to Ireland when I was about 12, and I moved back when I was 13 ish. I can't quite remember, but 13, 14, and I moved back with the sole intention of just playing football. I didn't want to do anything else. I didn't care. That was my only thing. I literally played 5 days a week. I joined, like, I can't lie to you, I went abroad a bunch of times, bunch of trials, all the way through secondary school. I remember I got offered a pro when I was like 15 or 16 in Scotland, which my dad turned down, which fucking pissed me off. But yeah, but that is what it is. And then I went to college, and I went through college, and I'm like 18 or 19 now, and I'm still not signed anywhere. And I've just dedicated every minute of my like living being for like the last half a decade just to pursue this one goal. Now I have to go to uni, and I can't lie to you, that fucked me up, because like I woke up and every day would just look in the mirror and be like, "You're just a fucking failure." I'm 18. Life hasn't even started yet. Let's be honest. Like, and like I can't stand my own reflection, and what that does to your psyche, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not pretty. And like I'm still living with that today. Like there's certain days where I just wake up and like I there's nothing that can really make me feel positive about what I've done with myself, because really and truly I'm a failure. But am I?
You're not, but that's the ego.
That's what I'm saying. But like that's exactly it. That's where I feel like I went from there to maybe an overcorrection, but I'm at where I am now. But I feel like this is a much more healthy place to be in. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I can, and true, like I'm not gonna lie, there are still elements of what I do that really just lives just to fill that void at times. Right? I'm just trying to do stuff. I don't care what it is. I'm just trying to do stuff. I'm trying to just. I can try to learn a language, or fucking learn how to make a pizza, or just something that just gives me a sense of fulfillment, just to fill that hole that, oh, I'm capable of doing shit.
Yeah.
When really, like I'm enough.
Yeah.
Despite everything else that, I may have told myself when I was 16, 17, 18.
Yeah. And that's important as well. Like the concept of failure. Failure doesn't really exist. Like there's a lesson in everything. Just
100%.
from what I've seen, just from what you told me, you're a very dedicated person.
Yeah.
So if you find something else that you can commit to, I'm sure you'll reap a lot from it. Because that dedication that you're putting into football, it can definitely need to be put elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I just think maybe you haven't found that yet.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm 26 now, so like I'm at a very different point in my life to where I was when I was 18.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like I've got direction again. Right? I've got things that I can pursue that I feel like are valuable and that are worth my time and my effort. And like, because for me, I'm not gonna lie to you, like the time investment and the emotional investment for me like are paramount versus anything else. Like that is like I said, life is short. The time that you put in, you're not getting back. That's like a valuable commodity, and I don't want to waste that on anything that I don't really feel is of value. And at
Mm.
the same time, you know, not to consume as detail, but other experiences as well has challenged me to the point where like emotionally, I only have the bandwidth to deal with a certain much if I just shut everything off. Do you
Mm.
get what I'm saying? And so like once I feel like I found something that satisfies those two criteria, I tend to go all in on it. And
Mm.
that's and but that is where I feel like the trap is. Because if I'm now defined by whatever the goal is here, then we go back to the thing of, oh, I'm gonna be, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be the greatest, I'm gonna fucking break all these records. And it's like, no, it's like rather than being ego based or like looking at the objective, you just focus on doing what I'm doing now.
Did you watch that? Did I send you that TED talk? I sent there was one TED talk
You
that
sent it to me, yeah.
yeah.
But I remember having this conversation with my boy Vincent. We used to talk about this a lot because we're in the same boat, me and him. Vincent I met him at uni actually, he went Sussex, but he's from America originally, and he came to the UK to exactly like to pursue what I was doing, just to kick ball on it.
Mm.
And then, but we're both like right now just at that point where it's like, listen, we can, go crazy about, and blame this person, that person, and say, whatever the hell we want. Or we can just focus on doing what we're doing right now and just doing it as best as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And then taking all the satisfaction and whatever value that we derive from the process and not the outcome.
Yeah.
Just process.
No, it's facts because I was watching the TED talk here, and the guy was basically saying when you're setting goals, instead of setting goals based on outcome and ego,
Yeah,
focus on the task
yeah,
and the process
yeah,
because that's where you get the skills and the power
yeah,
and the empowerment from.
yeah,
Whereas if you set a goal based on the outcome is based on the future,
yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
the future.
It's fair.
We're scared of the future,
Yeah,
and that's where the ego will kick in.
yeah,
You get what I'm saying? So no, it's a good thing. Just work. Just I know the process. The phrases become cheesy, but trust the process.
yeah,
You really have to because that's where the fulfillment comes from. Like the days of working at it.
yeah. And the thing is though, like I mean, it goes back to the whole instant gratification culture that we have, with social media and all that sort of stuff, where we're looking for results now, and we compare, like where we are at the beginning of our journey to like the end of someone else's, or like the midpoint of someone else's, and so we have a warped sense of perspective,
Mm.
and so that for me is a massive challenge, and I think it's the same for everyone else to say like, okay, let's say you're trying to learn a language, right? And so you go on YouTube and you start Googling or YouTubing, how to speak this language in 30 days. And you see people speaking fluently, but really and truly, they've been learning it for like a year and a half. And then they're coming on YouTube and they made like, oh, here are like 10 phrases you can learn to speak fluently in 30 days. And then 30 days passes, the next thing you know, you're still shit.
Yeah, still, yeah.
And then you give up.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like, it doesn't work like that. And it's so then you're looking at the objective. You're looking at, okay, how good can I get in 30 days? Or how, like, I'm trying to speak fluently, like, now, rather than I'm just trying to learn a little bit every day, then a little bit every day, then a little bit every day.
Yeah, if you that's the thing. I don't know who coined the phrase, but someone said if you improve 1% each day, that's progress.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And I think when we focus on the outcome too much, we lose sight of what it actually takes to achieve that outcome.
Yeah. I think as well that when you focus on the outcome as well, you forget all the steps in between.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, I think the guy actually said in that video where he was like, oh, if you make an ego-based decision, you tend to make your goals either really, really big or really, really small.
Yeah.
Really, really small, so that you're guaranteed that the satisfaction of achieving it, or it's really big to the point where when you fail, you can say, oh, I was never supposed to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you even said something that how about if someone picks up a language, learn this much in 30 days, and they don't learn this much in 30 days, they quit.
Yeah.
That's the ego as well, because the ego doesn't persist. The concept of persistent is not there. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
If you said I'm going to learn it in 30 days, I have to learn it in 30 days. And if I don't learn it in 30 days, it's not a me problem.
Exactly.
It's someone else's problem.
Yeah. And just to be clear, you can't learn anything in 30 days. Like, it doesn't happen.
You don't think so?
No. For it to become a retained skill, you need to. I can't remember where I read this. It was in again, I went through a whole like self-help stage when I was in college, just when I was rattled. Basically, I had to figure my
Yeah,
shit out. But yeah, it was that they said that it takes 27 days of deliberate practice for you to be able to make something a habit.
27 days.
Yeah, so say for example you're trying to break a habit, like let's say like sucking your thumb. Like let's say you got a kid and you're trying to stop them from sucking their thumb as a child. It like 27 days roughly is how long it takes for you to train that behavior out of someone. So if you to form a habit, they said that roughly it takes you about a month basically.
Okay, okay. Now I hear that. I hear that still.
Again, I'm no like I can't quote any studies on this. So I could be way off. Do you get what I'm saying? But I feel like that's an important principle to maintain as well, because it's like any any anytime you're trying to dedicate yourself to something and you feel like you can accomplish it in a short amount of time, or you're focused on the time frame, you probably got the wrong perception of what it is to do something.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And so like that's where we go back to the process. It's like, okay, like say for example, I could be training, I'm trying to focus on a specific type of finishing, for example. And so like I get it, and like I'm killing the technique. Like it's comfy. I'm binging everything I'm doing. Like I'm in flow. It's easy. Muscle memory is just clicking, 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 clicking. I come back the next day and fuck everything up. And it's just the next day. And you feel like, oh right, like I did it yesterday, why can't I do it today? It happens. You have ebbs and you have flows.
Yeah.
But when if I'm now like from the perspective of outcome based, I'm like, okay, I did it yesterday, I can't do it today, I'm shit. Rather than saying that, okay, I did it yesterday, I can't do it today, this is part of that journey. This is part of that learning process.
Yeah.
This is part of what's taking me from where I am now to where I want to be.
Tomorrow's another day.
Always.
Always. How has the ego affected you in terms of like being under pressure and feeling pressure?
I'm not. I feel like I perform best when I'm under pressure. Like that's when I feel like I can really. I find like things tend to slow down for me, and I can see things a lot clearer, and it's really again like I tend to be in very high pressured environments a lot of the time actually, which is really weird. I don't know why that happens, but like I started working for like the last few months in TV and film, so I'm in locations, and it's like this kind of like secret industry that no one really knows about. But essentially, I manage shoot locations. Well, I help manage shoot locations, and I can't lie to you, I really enjoy it precisely because of the fact that it's you all you do all day is problem solve. It's like here is an issue, and it can be something simple as like, okay, like where can this guy park? It can't be too far away because he needs to be close to set, but at the same time, it can't be too close to set because it's going to be in shot. But he needs power, but this and this and this. And you need to figure it out like now because they need to shoot now, and he needs to be here now. And you got to figure that out, and then you could, like shoot days can be like a 12-hour shift. So for example, the last 2 days I've worked. Well, sorry, uh, Tuesday and Wednesday I worked 24 hours out of 48 hours because those were two shoot days, and so like it was non-stop. And but for me, I felt so calm doing that whole thing because I don't know why, but like the whole pressurized situation thing, I tend to thrive on it. Um, but yeah, I feel like I don't know how much of that ego and that would slip into that category though. Do you know what I'm saying?
Um, I would say there's a bit. I would say there's a bit of ego, but you need it in that situation. That's the thing. Ego's not always. I don't think ego's always bad. Like sometimes you need that ego to sort of, if you channel it the right way, that urgency is needed. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And that comes from sort of understanding, like, okay, cool, I need to act now.
Yeah.
There's gonna be an element of ego there.
Yeah, I suppose. And I need to be able to tell people who are probably a lot senior than I am where they need to be and where they need to go and what they can and can't do. So I guess that's part of the job description, to be honest. So yeah, but like I don't know, man. I feel like highly pressurized environments suit me more than I can't lie to you. I don't like holidays. Like I don't like holidays. I find them so jarring. Like I can do like 5 days on a holiday, and then like after the fourth day, I'm done. Like I need to go back and start being productive
Or
again.
you need to be doing stuff.
Yeah, and like I was really thinking about this the other day because my girl is the complete opposite, and all she talks about is like, when can we rest? Like, oh, Saturday, Saturday, we're gonna do nothing, we're gonna chill. Oh, we're gonna do Wednesday evening. Or and she wants to plan like specifically when we're gonna chill, when we're gonna fucking buy Dominoes or like
Yeah.
And for me, like I'm just not built. I'm a momentum guy. I'm not built that way. I like one thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, then the next thing, and I build habits and routines and patterns and just goals and goals, and I can do that for ages. I can just go and go and go and go. But obviously, like she's not built that way, and so like that's where it goes back to earlier conversation of compromise. Um, but uh, when like I understood who I am as a person, that's something that like for me is almost core to my character. Where it's like if I start stopping and starting, stopping and starting, stopping and starting, that will throw me off.
Yeah.
That will take me way out of sync. Like, gone. Like, I don't know what day it is anymore.
I hear you.
Do you get what I'm saying? And so, like, that's why I don't know. Maybe like for me, like when things are like crammed together, it feels like there is like flow, like there's continuity. There's like, do you get what I'm saying? There's less like there's less stuff that can just get in the way because I will get distracted. I know what I'm like. Like I will find something else to occupy my mind. The next thing you know, I've forgotten that I need to do X, Y, and Z.
No, it's true. It's true that consistency is important.
Yeah.
But whereas you have someone else to consider,
Yeah.
you have to make sure that you have to do the compromise and the sacrifice.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm still trying to find that balance, bro. I can't.
Yeah, that balance is essential still.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you something as well. What simple changes have you made to make your life better?
Stop caring about shit that don't matter. That was it, really. And then, so then I guess you ask the question, what matters and what doesn't, and that's a question you have to answer for yourself. But for me, it was just simply just getting me closer to where I want to be or further away, and then go from there. Because like when you start caring about shit that really don't matter, like at all, like, I can't like. I've seen people make so many decisions, and I'm looking at them, and I'm having. I won't get into arguments because I'm not that type of guy. But I'll point out saying like, okay, like what you're doing here. I'm not gonna say it's a waste of time because they'll be offended. But I'm just saying that there are better things you can be doing. Like you should have you thought about this or you thought about that, and it's so steadfast in doing this. And I go, okay, so if this happens, and you have this outcome, are you prepared for that? And they go, whatever, like I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and then they go off and do it, and the outcome happens, and then they're upset that the outcome happened. I just said, well, like you didn't need to do that in the first place. And so, like for me, I just literally, like, remember I told you about how I shut things off.
Yeah.
Gone. If it doesn't matter to me and I've made the decision, it's gone. I don't care. I don't care. Like I genuinely don't care. I'm done with it. Like,
I hear you still, but I hear you still. It has to be like that because a lot of people, like, we only have a limited amount of energy, so it has to be used to stuff that actually matters, innit?
Yeah.
Just the things that don't matter.
Yeah.
Are out of my control.
I think that's it at the end of the day. Like we said, life is just problem solving. And that solves a lot of problems. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you care about X, Y, and Z. If it's like an obstacle, like move it out of the way. If you can't move it, reorientate yourself and do something else. And then if that doesn't work, find another solution. I don't know. I'm not you. Do you get what I'm saying? But it's literally just for me, which is a situation of it can be like personal relationships. It can be in the workplace. It can be, you know, I don't know, like deciding what movie you want to watch. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter what food we're gonna eat or like flipping, I don't know, what crepes I want to buy. Is that little decisions. If it's not important at the time, I'm not gonna like overinvest or overextend myself in trying to figure out or like get over emotionally attached to something that doesn't matter at the end of the day because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I agree. So 2021, what's your mindset? What's your mindset?
I can't lie to you. I kind of want to. I made a decision at the start of 2020 actually just to be a little bit more selfish with my time. because I'm very good at overextending myself. I want to say yes to a lot of things when really and truly I shouldn't be saying yes to. And these aren't things that people are asking me. These are things I'm saying to myself. These are things that, like, for example, I told you, like, I'm very good at filling that hole, filling that void. So, like, I would do a bunch of stuff, like, stupid amounts of things, like, just, even I know it's dumb, but I just think, fuck it, why not? I've got the time. And so, like, I kind of want to be more selfish in where I apply my time and my energy. Just really trying to refine that whole thing I talked about before about, you know, things I want to do and why I want to do it and what am I doing them for.
Mm.
So I'm gonna continue that and see where that takes me. And also, I think as well it will help because, like I said at the top of the podcast, I'm trying to, you know, reorientate myself into being a bit more inventive. I want to, like, manifest things into reality that, you know, I have dreams and ambitions and plans for.
I hear that. I hear that. I think we're gonna wrap up still.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna wrap up still. Nah, I appreciate you coming still. I got a lot of insight from you still.
nah, pleasure to be here, man.
No worries, man. That's a matter of mindset where we heal, inspire, listen, and learn. Signing out.